Peace, love, love. Hold the space. Hold the space. It's Tuesday tea. I'm trying to figure out something. Peace, love, love. It's Tuesday tea. Hold the space. Share the love. Trying to multitask, y'all. Love, love. Go ahead and share this right now if y'all in here. Go ahead and share. Let your people know we're on. Y'all definitely don't want your peoples to miss this. You don't want to miss it. Peace, share your yo. I had a dream about you, love, last night. We gonna have to get on here. I was like, what? Showed up in my dreams. What's going on? But you know how we do. Peace, love, love. Tuesday tea. All right, I'm trying to figure out how to boom. Hey, I pinned the comment, y'all. We learning new things over here. Peace, love, love. All right, y'all come on in. Come on in the space. You got your tea? Peace, Mia. Peace. Who is that? Alley Cat PQ 101. Peace. Love, love. Peace, TC. Love, love. All right. Yo, we are in for a treat. So go ahead and share this. We always in for a treat. Y'all know. We talk about wellness. We talk about blackness. We talk about community. We talk about healing. We talk about all the things. So, yeah, this one is like super powerful for me. Because like this sister I'm bringing on right now is real special place in my heart, in my life. Yeah, I don't even know how to introduce them. Like, aside from all the titles, aside from they try to figure out how to get in here. Aside from all the things, you just request to go live, love. So request to go live, come in to my live, and then request and to join, and then I will, push the button. But besides that, our technical stuff, this being definitely know how to work all that stuff. But yeah, for me, I'm just gonna talk about how this being Candace Liger has been my accountability partner for so many different things in life for the last few years. We've been sisters in community for about 3 years now. Really interesting and how all that went down. But really, for me, it's all about, they've been a real life lesson for me on what it looks like to be authentic in all spaces, in business, in personal, in motherhood, in partnerships, in collaboration, in a community, and to show up and to really create boundaries around all of that. And for me, it's all about, I'm trying not to compartmentalize things, but yet I recognize that's how I create boundaries for myself. That's how I protect myself. But this person can float into spaces in different ways. And I'm just amazed, seeing shadow workers do things in a way that also creates space for healing in a different way, on the other end of the spectrum, the way light workers do it. It's just amazing. So I really revel in the way that they do that work. And for me, it's a checking point. It's a checking point around my own work in energy and how we like to define things in certain ways as being right or wrong, or judging the way people do certain things, but really also being mindful about how we hold space for protecting ourselves in this work, and it not being something that we are commodifying in a way, but it's also a really really deep layer around how we do that and why we do it. And we want to create space to be able to create access, of course, but we also want to protect, because this is dangerous work. And I don't think people take that lightly, especially in the new trend of, there you go, yeah, I see you, Candace, especially in the new trend of doing, of this spiritual awakening that's happening. So many people are rushing to become the teacher, and yet they have not really taken heed to their own lessons. And so when you become the teacher and you bring in students or you clients or customers or whatever you want to call them, and now we are forever going through processes of healing ourselves or growing or transcending or all of that. But when you do that in certain work and you're not noticing the energy that you're taking in from them, as well as some things that you have to take care of for yourself, you are creating harm. You're creating more harm. And so that's the thing that me and Candace are gonna we check each other about. we're gonna talk a little bit more about that. I'm gonna bring them in, and we're gonna go just dive into this tea, and they can talk more about who they are and the many things that they do in this world. But this has been, it's important. It's important for us to have community, Shauna, to have sisterhood, brotherhood, to have people that can be like, hey, what's the deal? How you feeling?
Straight up, what an
Yes.
intro.
Yes. Each other when we disappear. You know what I'm saying? We need that.
Absolutely.
Yo, I love you so much, sis. You don't even know. Do you know?
Likewise, I have a tremendous amount of respect for you, your work, all this, what you're doing. This topic, because it's like one of them topics that you really don't want to, because you want to be careful almost how it comes across. Yeah. And we talked about this. It can come across as like gatekeeping, in a way. But yes, try to find that balance, because it's deserving. The work that we do is deserving of at least a balance, right? Mm-hmm. Shit, you know what I'm saying? I gotta go through security check just to go get food stamps. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. So why do people think that they don't have to go through security or cycles of whatever to hold space for this work,
Yeah, that's so real. That's so real.
It is. Mm-hmm. It is. Like, I'm gonna bring it into just the visual aspect of, I practice a couple of different traditions and of African spirituality, and so there's initiation that happens with that, and people see that. I think, like, even Chantra was in here earlier, and like even those of us that go through these formal trainings or these formal traditional cultural practices of initiation or pastoralship or whatever it is, it's there to because you're going to open up a whole wave of energy, but it's also creating a fellowship of sense to where you have those people that it's going to support you in those shifts, those changes, and it's going to hold you accountable. That's the way it should be, and it used to be. We know that religion has changed a lot of that, but when we bring it back to the spiritual essence of it, there's going to be things that's going to shift and it's going to happen to where we're going to have to call each other and hold each other, support each other, call each other out, in a way that's going to allow for the healing to come into our own personal space, as well as to expand, so that we can continue to share and to hold on to others in this work. And so I think when people don't see it as like, if I don't talk about all the credentials, or if I don't talk about all the whatever and stuff like that, they don't see that. That's the invisible story. They think, oh, it's just a thing I can just pick up, like any entrepreneurship, and just and a skill. It's just another skill, and it's so much more than that.
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, that's real. That's so real. Um, and it feels like the fact that there is a process. So let's talk about even just the process around like um African traditional religions and spirituality, right? Like the process that is set there has been cultivated largely in part like disconnected from a system, right? Systems as we know it, like academic institutions, things like that. There's a lot of wisdom out here in these streets that aren't guided necessarily through textbook or taking a course or watching enough YouTube videos, right? These streets have a tremendous amount of knowledge. So there's one part that says like the US says you have to be credentialed. We have to see that stamp. You have to be validated in this practice. And then there's another part that applies to disenfranchised, marginalized communities who don't often have access and aren't validated even within those institutions, who are like, yo, I have real ass practical experience and all you have is theory. Right. And
That
like,
part.
so yeah, yeah. But even when we think about, and this, even when I think about the homies in Mississippi who were being like gang initiated,
Mm,
was like running in streets, learning how to harm.
mm,
So if there is a process on learning how to harm,
mm-hmm.
then there's also a process, and I say learning how to harm, knowing that there's also a lot of gangs and the origination of gangs not being rooted in that, right? Rooted in community healing. But there's also a process with learning how to heal. And part of it is like, who are we connected to in our ciphers and circles who are constantly holding us accountable to the ways in which we're showing up? And if we're reliant solely on our own discernment to determine like, yo, is this right? Is this real? Am I processing this? We won't get anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Like one of the best things, and I gotta remember this quote. Please help me, Glory, give it to me. But it's something about conflict. Like, oh yeah, the way we evolve literally is through disagreement and conflict. Conflict is rooted in between reality and expectation. When we start looking at like who are the people that are carrying us into a process, and the conflicts and disagreements that even may come through that is rooted in expectation of, I am entrusting you with a certain type of wisdom, but the reality is, I don't feel like this shit is being respected.
Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah, yeah. It is. It's just like, well, I always bring stuff to the breath, right? It's this contraction and this expansion, so that's how we learn things. I was talking to Shauna, was talking about how, just how, just because we have certifications don't mean, our ancestors are going to be with us in this work, because their ancestor work is something completely different as well. That's the certification I need. That's the go ahead, the blessing, the alafia that I need to go ahead and to make, is my ancestors telling me and having my back on doing this work. And so what happens in this expansion and this contraction is that you actually can feel that support, and you can feel like this being wrung out, or whatever it is in this lesson, and this, whatever your life lesson is, whatever your purpose is. And then you move into this expansion with a lot more responsibility and accountability. Mm-hmm. So even when you're in this contraction, because when there's contraction, right, it's pain there. It's uncomfortability. Yeah. It's madness, right? Because you don't know how long it's gonna last. You don't know if I have control over it. You don't know, none of this, And so when it finally does start to expand, now it's like, okay, I gotta be, my eyes, this is, where your eyes are wide open. You're a lot more, your sensories are a lot more heightened. And so you have a lot more responsibility to actually walk into the world and walk into spaces and be mindful of how you are holding space with others and communicating with others and healing others or harming others, or whatever those boundaries are. But knowing that, and that's work that takes that we have to do within ourselves first. Because if we go out here and we do this stuff and we don't know, you know, when I walk into this space, if I start to feel uh aggressive energy and I decide to act out, if it's going to create harm for me or create harm for somebody else, or all of this. So I have to be aware of, like, where do I feel this in my body first? You know, where in what way do I communicate and respond? And what way can I use my tools in order to, like, shift the vibration of this room? You know, it's so many different ways that we just have to, we constantly bathe ourselves in this, in our daily existence.
Joy. Take them up there, Joy. Woo. I love that breath analogy too. That's so powerful. Because that contraction would be almost like, I don't know if the contraction would be the invisible part or the pauses would be the invisible part. But the pauses, let's say the pauses.
That's a choice, right? Because for me,
that's a choice.
Right, because for me, I'm like, I want to show you a lot of the good stuff, a little bit of the, you know, of the other stuff, the contraction, but I want to show you more of the expansion, because that's what we want to do, right? We want to show the good stuff.
Yeah. And that's what makes it so enticing. That's what makes it so appealing. That's what makes it accessible, right? But I would definitely probably say with the breath analogy, the pauses for me is the invisible work. When I'm told to slow down, or to sit back, or to wait, or be still, a lot of the time that's against what I want to do. It's against what I want to do. It's like I'm on a mission. I have to be hyperproductive, right? I gotta prove myself as worthy. I gotta take care of these kids, keep these lights on. I gotta do this. And then that pause come in and be like, but hold up, baby, you gotta do this first. And you can't bust a move until you do this first. Until I show you what I need to show you. And I don't know, you know, and I was about to say I don't know. I know where it comes from. It comes from, and we talked about this. We talked about support systems and the difference between support systems versus like friends or clients or things like that. And we talked about how the support system is actually absolutely invisible. The support system is all the ancestors that led you to that moment right now that is forever guiding your way that you're paying attention to. That's the support system. Anything else is like glitter. And so when I think about the work and I think about movement and what part is showing, the challenge is even in the accessibility part is like I am not indoctrinated into any sort of grouping, spiritual system. I haven't gone through a process. I would love to go through a process. But the ways in which we access that part is just by getting real vulnerable, real still, real quiet, real introspective, real holding on to accountability, real taking responsibility, real life shifting our energy, real life consenting to how we are responding to the world around us at all given times. If I feel like I can influence you to respond a certain way based on what my energy is doing, you ain't did enough work. You ain't did enough work. You know,
that's what I was talking about in the intro, like introducing you, was that's been my deepest connection with you and watching you, my lesson in how you create boundaries in all these spaces, and just watching like how you, with the affirmation you were talking about today, like don't let all the fires, what was it? Don't. What was it? It was so good.
I don't remember. Every fire that calls your name doesn't have to be answered.
That part.
Something like that. Yeah.
Just showing up, you know, and that takes a lot of just not only just confidence, but this knowing, this deep knowing of like, no matter how someone perceives me, if I say this who I am, and you even take a word of that and you shift it, and now you think you're gonna pull some energy from me, or you're gonna whatever, just because you shifted that perception and you feel like it's real, and if I continue to stand in this place and just like firm, just like I'm just seeing you do it, like, you know, this is who I am. And it's like, if that's what you see in me, then that's fine. But that, you know, there's consequences that come with that, or there's whatever that comes with that. But this is who I'm telling you I am. So believe that part. And that's the most important. And that takes a lot of fortitude, right? That takes a lot of knowing. And when I go into these spaces, that I know that my energy is going to be pulled. And so how I respond and protect myself comes before I even walk into these doors, come before I even walk into the space, come before you even walk into my space. Mm-hmm. That's the invisible part. Like, you know, the preparation that comes before I even, as I open my eyes and get into my body in the morning, you know, it's just, it's that knowing, it's that awareness. And sometimes I've been talking about, talking to one of my friends about how my energy has been really, really deep and aggressive in this retrograde of Mars. And just knowing that takes awareness too. Cause now I'm like, and communicating that to people who are dear and close to me. I need you to know that my energy is a little bit, so you might get a little snappy, but understand it's all love. But I'm working through things. But also I'm gonna slow down in places and responding to other stuff that I don't have a relationship with, because you're not gonna understand it. And so this is the time period where I'm just really slowing down on connecting with things outside of, you know, my immediate circle. But,
Ooh, that Mars retrograde came in with a bang, didn't it? So, you know, ooh, yes. I felt every bit of it. And, you know, it's in creating boundaries, like what I've found, especially in my work, because I have boundaries within my work, and then of course I have boundaries within my own personal life that I just really enjoy. I like creating a little sanctuary that I exist and don't like a lot of people to come in. Right. That's just what it is. I can't make the rules. I told you that. Is that there is an almost, boundaries make something enticing. Like boundaries make something, you know, it creates arousal, it creates curiosity, it creates this energy of like, I want to know more, like this thing is mysterious, blah, blah, blah. And so setting boundaries in ways that we are, one, holding sacred what we need to hold sacred and keeping ourselves fortified, which is the word of the month, like keeping that fortification on fire, because we need it. And also trying to be in relationship with boundaries, because a lot of folks are in beginning processes of understanding how to set boundaries. And I've set very clear boundaries in certain relationships to be like, hey, I ain't gonna kiss you in the mouth. You know, I ain't gonna kiss you in the mouth. Tomorrow comes, I ain't kissing you in the mouth. Or a year comes, I won't kiss you in the mouth. 2 years are down and on, still not kissing you in the mouth. The boundary still hasn't kissed you in the mouth. But like there is always that push and pull on, well, how can I just infiltrate this moment? And you know, like how can I just get in a little bit? But what I found is that with every new boundary that I create, especially with people that I'm new in relationship with, is also teaching them how to understand and create and respect boundaries. And so how does that translate into this invisible work though? I think it really does, because if we're not creating boundaries, then we are not creating the space to even do the invisible work, right? We're not even creating a space. We're not creating a space to feed ourselves and fuel ourselves. And while I love being social and out there and all this other stuff like that, those are moments. But majority of the moments, I'm fortifying. I'm sitting back. You know what I mean? That's the majority of the moments. So what is like the part that's actually digested is like this expansion. Again, it's the expansion that's digested. But the part that I hold sacred is like, give me that pause. Give me that contraction. Like, let me pull it in.
Yeah, I love the stillness part. There's so much. I'm very comfortable. I was talking about that. Recently I'm very comfortable with being in my own space, my own stillness, hearing my own voice. And I think that's some of the scariest part for some people, because you gotta,
that's all you got.
right. That's all you got. It's just you, your inner thoughts, your feelings, your emotions. And it's just like, and learning how to fly off with them, and how to bring them back, and how to let even decipher what is not yours.
Right.
It takes being in your own space and in your own energy. And I was just having this conversation with my son last week about, first, in order for us to learn how to create boundaries for ourselves, and how other people can respect our boundaries, is that we have to take care of ourselves first, because that teaches people how to take care of, how to treat us, as well as it teaches people who might not have boundaries, like you said, how to create boundaries for themselves. And so what that looks like and what that feels like. And so, yeah, so if I continue to tell somebody, look, this is who I am, this is who I am, this is who I am, this is who I am. And I've been in relationships like this, right? Where I'm not here for this. I'm not here for this. I'm not, and we keep repeating that 2 years later. And somehow they come back years later and was like, I just realized the whole time I was romanticizing you about this. And I was like, and that's the part where it's like, oh.
It's like that aha moment, like, you're so late. It hasn't changed. I've had to stand by it. I fortified that part of the boundary. I've stood by it.
Yeah. So that's the expectations that people have. And this is in partnerships and businesses and whatever. Even when I was talking to my son about this, I was like, we have certain days where we hang out. I said, I don't come in your room on Monday and ask you for a movie day when our movie day is Friday, right? And I was like, this is me knowing who I am, and this is me also respecting who you are in our different spaces, even as mother, son, whatever, relationship in the same house. And that's how but we first have to be comfortable with saying that, with knowing it, and we have to know what we want. We have to know who we are, know what we want, know what we don't want. And sometimes we play around with that so much with people, and in the whole push and pull and all that stuff, and whatever games, or and all of that harmful stuff, which it's harmful when it's not done in a sense of self-awareness, because then we're playing on each other's emotions, and and tag team and all of that. And really, if we really back and just become real self-aware with it, we can say in authentic space, this is, I said that 2 years ago, and I showed up like that every time.
Something in like the kink work and the BDSM work that I really actually deeply appreciate is the way boundaries are set. And one of the things I enjoy teaching about is like these access points too, right? Because a lot of, I think it's particularly after, post Me Too movement, right? We became very clear with our boundary setting capacities. And it's like, no means no, right? Do not do this. This is not cool. Do not do this. Do not do this. And while that's absolutely necessary, what's also equally as necessary for us to thrive is the ways in which we do actually healthy engage and create openings for other people to engage with us. And so like the nature of access points being, it almost feels like that it takes more practice to name what we want than it does to name what we don't want. And then that's it's hard, right? It's hard. It's challenging because it requires you to be real transparent, real clear, real, reflective on what are the things that you actually have allowed and got pleasure from. And maybe it just wasn't done correctly. Maybe it wasn't done consensually. Maybe it wasn't done, but this is also a thing that you attract and you welcome, but you just want it done in a way that is going to be pleasurable and not like pushing up against a boundary all this time. And so, being able to name, like, this is how you can access me. This is how we can be in relationship together. This is how I can show up for you. And this is also how I can, right? And being able to do both of those things are equally as important. But if you ask me for our sustainability to thrive, the way that we develop connections like right now is like more important than ever. While we're in pandemic, where we're trying to develop deepness through technology, while we're understanding the importance of human touch, of being in human experience, like now more than ever, we're trying to figure out, how do I tell this person I need a thing, right? Without them being able to feel my energy or decipher my body language, which makes me have to use my voice and open my throat. It makes me, you know what I mean? I gotta open my throat now. I gotta use my big words, and I gotta get what I need, right? Yeah. So how we do both, Joy? How we do both?
Yeah, that's the practice. That's the practice, and it's something, and it's. I'm just like getting mad ass chills because it's like that has in the last few weeks that has been so apparent, and just in my own life of just saying, oh, through these visuals, yeah, that it's all vibe, it's all good, but in these real connections, oh, I actually have to let you know that doesn't feel good, or I don't appreciate that, or let's figure out another way that we can do this. And and fighting through, another invisible story for me is many people don't know I came to this because I have fought with anxiety and depression most of my life. And so fighting through the throat chakra of actually saying, I don't really like that. It takes a lot, but now it's even finding pleasure in being able to say that. And it's just like, and feeling the relief afterwards. Oh, just being like, oh, that feels good. Just being like, oh, because now it's not on me. Now it's on you to respect that boundary, and to respect the fact that I've said what I had to say. I let it go. And now I can keep saying it with ease, right? Because I've said it and you've heard it, And so, yeah, it's that whole self-exploration again of exploring and being honest with ourselves. Do I really like that? Am I really okay with what they said? Am I really okay with how they touched me? Am I really okay with, and if I'm not, how do I respond to that? What part of it am I okay with it? Is it compromise in there? Is it not? All those.
Okay, that's so conflicting. Ooh, is it a part of it I am okay with it? Yeah, okay, I am okay with it. Is it like a 10%, 20%, 30%? So like the no, yes, maybe, kind of, I don't know. Like all of those exist and all of those are valid, right? But how do we be in relationship with each other where those can exist and be valid and still, be safe? So I'm curious for you, like, especially as we talk about this throat chakra and boundary setting and all this invisible work, how are you navigating this Mars retrograde energy?
It's actually making it easier for me in that sense because I feel it like boom. And so it's like, I gotta say something, without a thought. And so usually I'm not that aggressive because I've learned to breathe through, that discomfort so good. So now it's like, I feel it before I catch it. And so now it's like, all right, what is this? Is this me? Is this my annoyance? Is this coming from something? Let me voice that I'm just annoyed right now.
Yeah.
Let me just get that out. And then we can figure out, I'm not necessarily asking you to hold this annoyance, but I'm letting you know I'm annoyed. So I got to figure out if this is me, if this is us, if this is what this is. And this is happening across the board. It's happening across the board, and I'm just having to do it, and it's okay with that, because usually for me it's, I don't want anybody to take that on. I want to be Joy. I want to be Mayat. I want to be these things. And then sometimes the Mayat is in the balancing of the scales, and sometimes it's just not. It's gonna feel real heavy. So I need to announce that, and me having to be okay with that. So that's what it's first. Is me being okay with being annoyed, because that is part of my human experience, and being okay with expressing my annoyance, and not being okay with someone willing to take that on or not.
Yeah. Which means that you're accountable to yourself first.
Exactly.
You're accountable to your experience first. I think that's huge. I actually recently, just yesterday, had a sort of lukewarm conflict situation where I offered an apology that probably they didn't necessarily deserve, right? But but I realized, as I was thinking about even doing this, like, oh, okay, so is this more for me or for them? Mm-hmm. And I started trying to like weigh it out. Like, is it 60% me, 40% for them, 70% them? Like, let me try to figure it out. And by the end of it, I definitely realized that it was more for me, because when we talk about accountability, we often think that we're talking about somebody else, particularly somebody who's harmed us or somebody who's done a thing and all this other stuff. We're holding them accountable in a certain way. But again, that invisible work is like this accountability to like our comfort, right? Because people can't always name the ways in which we harm. We don't have to predict ways that we've harmed other people and things like that, not necessarily, but we can. But for some reason, like, this felt so necessary for me to do, and I was so deeply invested into it, and I was not invested into the response that I got from it at all, right? I was like, whether it's accepted or not or anything like that, I just know I have to do it because it's bothering me what I did.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it's bothering you, but it's bothering me what I did. And I had to, and after it happened, I had to do even more work, because now I really started thinking about, what does it mean for me to apologize when it's possible that an apology wasn't even wanted in the first place or desired in the first place? What does that need? How can I address that need? Could I have done this on my own? How could I have moved on? Am I hyper over accountability myself? You know what I'm saying? Like, I still got all these questions. And of course, that shit will drive me crazy if you start to like critique every move you make in that deep kind of way. But I'm also thankful for that kind of critique of myself, because without it, I don't evolve. I don't need another person to have conflict. I can have conflict all on my own, all in my own. Just fine. Yes. Just try to figure out what am I consenting to in my behavior? How am I showing up how am I staying grounded even with all this, and like still searching for this recipe, because we never stop being students. And we talked about that. Yeah. You never stop being a student, no matter what. I don't think that whether it's the highest of the high, if they cannot admit when they're wrong, then they're not my leaders.
Absolutely. whole body vibrating. Yeah, you have to be able to, because we are constantly learning. We never get to a point in this life where, I know there's plenty of spiritual gurus all across the globe that sit in these beautiful ass seats and
gurus
spit. And I've been called the guru or whatever, and I just like to tell people that's cool. But
that's cool. But
don't put me on that pedestal. I can't do yoga and do all my stretches and jump and twerk on that pedestal, so don't do that for me. I need to be able to move around.
I like that. Because if you do, that's your responsibility to put me on that pedestal.
Yes.
That's your Don't do that to me. I want all of my mortalness, and I can take my divineness too, but give me my mortal.
Yes.
Give me my mortal
and that's
too.
The part, right? I don't, and it's not even about it's just that I refuse to spiritually bypass. I know I'm a divine being. Trust me.
Mm-hmm.
I tell people, and I have clients be like, how was your awakening period? And I was like, I have to tell you that I was woke up since the day I was born. I didn't go through that period. But also, I don't walk around here like I know everything either. Although I do.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like somebody behind me do. Somebody above me do.
Somebody
do. But I'm enjoying all of my so-called mistakes and fuck ups and all of that because it's part of why I came here. It's part of my journey. It's part of my story. The parts I want to share, the parts I don't want to share, the parts that I want to teach, the parts that I came to learn. And that's all. And that's the deeper part of the work for me. It's just holding it in all those, in this humanity. Because when we get into these spaces and we can talk about this across spiritual work and we can talk about this across race and gender, all of these different classes. When we get to a point where we feel like we are no longer human, where we've like surpassed, the emotional connection to this body and this being and this walk of life, then that's when you start to really fuck up and create harm in all spaces. And you really got to be mindful of that, so I never wanted, so I always want to remind myself that I'm a student in this work, even when I'm dealing with my clients. And, and I have clients from all ages. I have clients who could be my mother and grandmother. And now I still honor the space, and I honor that even more so because now I have a deeper responsibility and accountability. Because, and understanding that yes, we are spiritual beings, but yes, I want to be able to hold this in a way of where you understand that no matter what my age is or whatever, my race, my whatever, that I see you in this life, and it takes a lot of work, and it takes admitting, I can't hold this for you. I can support this for you. This is where I can support you, or this is where I can refer you, or this is where I can like whatever I need to do. But I don't pretend to be in this space of just being able to not be human. This is not where I ever want to be. Until I'm gone. Then when I choose to leave, and that's when I'll transcend that.
That's what it is.
I'm here.
I like that it landed at "I see you." I thought that was really powerful. Yeah. Because what the next thing I heard after "I see you" is like, I see you because I know my eyes. So not only do I see you, I trust my ability to see you. Like I trust one, what I'm seeing from you, and also that a gratefulness for having the capacity to do so for you. I think that's so powerful, so powerful. Yeah.
It was, back on that being the student, it was a progression for me to get to a place of wanting to hold space or feeling like I'm now energetically able to help. I have the capacity to hold space for other people in this way. It took years of me. So even if I say, I've always, had my eyes open, it took me to go through some of my own life lessons in order to, and then training, and then, intensity and whatever, to be able to say, oh, okay, now I can take on clients or take on students and things like that. And I think that's also, we have to, that a lot of people make that decision out of haste. And it's not a hasty thing to decide, hold space for other people.
Yeah, a lot of people make it out of haste. It's like, and that's what that expansion gives, right? Because if you're given like this final product of, wow, this is how I can show up in the world, it's like, oh, I can do that. Oh, I can rap too. Oh, I can dance too. Oh, let me try to, what was it? Some Megan Thee Stallion challenge that started out with a cook. You know what I'm saying? Be like, oh yeah, I got that. Mess around breaking that. You know what we doing?
Right.
I mean, that's what it does. Like I tell folks, all the time, especially folks who or wanting to be in some sort of mentorship with me, or mentor like relationship. I have a mentor. I actually,
Right.
I just got a new mentor. Also, I just paid for a new mentor, right? So that's a very important part of this. Like I paid for a new mentor to take me to another level.
And
Um, and then, but I tell them all the time, it's like, um, it looks easy. You see people like posting on social media, doing all these things, blah blah blah. They 10 years in the game, and they're just now getting to this new level for themselves, or they 5 years in the game, or they 15 years in the game. Like I always talk about Zumba, because people that like Zumba just got real popular around 2000, maybe 10, 11, 12, like that. Zumba is like 22 years in the
yeah,
game.
I've been around.
Zumba been around,
Mhm.
right? And so, I have to also like remind myself when I think about like, hey, see, like where am I in this process? Where am I in this work? I'm trying to do the self work. I'm trying to show up. I'm trying to blah blah blah. And also like having this pressure of time where I want to fit and make it like yesterday. I want to make it, in the next hour. I want to be the thing tomorrow. And that process doesn't look like that. And I love listening to, like, one of my favorite things, pastime to do, is listening to successful people's stories
Yeah.
about how they came to success. Because it's never, yeah, I made this post about doing this thing. People came, pack that shit out. I made money. You know what I'm saying? It's never that. It's like always some crazy shit like, yo, the first time I tried to do an event, I misspelled the main word on the flyer. It was, it was supposed to be, lightsaber. Instead, I put light flavor. Everybody came with Kool-Aid packages, you know, you know, and it's like, oh, I had to revisit, apologize, get refunds. And it's like this up and down, ebb and flow until it reaches this point where you develop your own system. And the system is not just a professional system, it's a system that's rooted in like how is your business functioning? But also, how are you managing the capacity of your business? How are you growing at the pace of your business?
That
Like
part.
your business will not grow without you growing, right? It
Right.
doesn't work that way. It doesn't work
Right.
that way.
It doesn't
And
work that way. It's like
you
trying to
can
fit
grow.
like it's trying to fit like this a gallon of water into this tea glass, right? It's this shit gonna overflow and you're not gonna be able to sustain that shit, right?
How you gonna do it? How
That's
you gonna do it?
Yeah, that's the work, yo. That's the work. I want to, and that's something it was my affirmation some years ago of like, help me to be vibrationally ready to receive what I want. And so when I speak that, it's just this constant growing process. This constant growing process. My capacity. I couldn't imagine holding space the way I hold space now 10 years ago. I would have been, oh my gosh, it would have been a mess. It would have been a
Literally.
mess. And so I had to grow into that, being able to do that. And also getting out of the comparison of like comparing my success to other people. I had to
Yeah.
define what success looks like for me, because success don't look like for me of having, all of this, this type of visibility. It looks like for me having visibility in another way, in a way that where it feels authentic for me.
Mm-hmm.
In a way that I can still show up and not feel like I have to perform, or if I
Right.
want to perform to where it can still be me, or whatever, But for me to define whatever that looks like, and so my level of success isn't necessarily that monetary dollar or that many people showing up for my events or whatever. If I have to define, okay, what do I want it to get to, and how can I grow into that space and something
Yeah.
I can sustain comfortably, because I know who I am. I know I like to flow in and out of things. You know, I
Mm-hmm.
like to be a creative in a sense of trying different type of things. So I want to be able to sustain, this while I figure something else out in my life.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's so. Excuse me. That's so real. Like creating that sustainability is such a yeah, yeah. And that's the, how did you word it on the flyer? It was accountability, it was another word, the anchoring.
Oh, the anchoring.
The
Yeah.
anchoring. Yeah, yeah. I love that. I love that. Because it literally, it's a boat on like choppy ass water. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? That ain't going with the water. That
Mm-hmm.
refuses to move with the energy that's like literally keeping it up, right? Like refusing, like I'm gonna stay here, I'm gonna stay planted. I'm gonna, do a little of this
Right, I'm
shit,
right with it.
but I'm gonna rock with it a little bit. But as far as like what is the foundation, the ethical foundation
Mm.
that we are putting on. Somebody asked me today, like, they wanted to do like work around pleasure and they wanted to get it right. And I was like, okay, all right. So getting it right is very relative. Getting it ethically right is a different story.
Right.
Like where do your ethics actually align within this work? How are your ethics at the foundation of how this work evolves, how it manifests? What are you taking with you? What are you actually teaching in an ethical way? What other models are you looking at? Are you studying? Like, how are you transcribing this into your own personal philosophies? Who are you giving this to that will carry the same ethics and values that you do? And I've definitely got into that mess before, where I was like, I became a point where I was giving information to folks who did not carry the same ethics that I carried.
Yeah.
And it is an easy way to cause unnecessary shit. So, like how are we vetting ourselves? Vetting ourselves being, what am I actually ready to do? Who am I ready to do it with? What is my purpose in doing it? How am I prepared to evolve during the process? How much time am I integrating into my schedule so that my self-care, my anchoring, my sustainability has as much prioritization as all of these other parts? Because otherwise it's just a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
And I know for sure, because it's like we're born to be hyper productive. We're born to be workers. And that's why I'm so like thankful for one, like folks like you, because I know you know what I'm saying. But two, like pages like the Nap Ministry. That's one of my favorite pages, where it talks about, fuck y'all, I'm about to rest.
Right.
I'm about to take a nap. I see what you doing. You seem a little high strung. Maybe your ass needs a nap. They don't say it like that. But it's all of that is rooting on getting back to grounding, getting back to homeostasis, getting back to time, all time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely. Ooh, I have this whole, practice around how long takes me to get in my body, how long, whatever, it's a whole thing, how
Mm-hmm.
I anchor myself, and I have to be able to feel that, like, some days I'm real floaty, I'm real high naturally, and I need to,
Mm-hmm.
and my boat can be rocked easily, and so what are those things? What are those tools? Who are those people?
Mm-hmm.
Where are my support systems? How do I ground myself back into myself, into my body? And
Yeah.
yeah, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. But we might have to do a part 2 to this at some
You
point.
think so? So we touched on a lot of areas, Joy.
Yes,
Oh,
yes. I always appreciate it. Well, we got a few more minutes. What is some last some tea you got for people today? Let people know where they can find you, what you're doing, what you got going on.
sure, for sure. Thank you. Um, so right now I have 3 fitness classes. They're called Fortify. It's all about fortifying your body for the revolution. No, I'm just kidding. It's just fortifying your body in general. Um, And we are doing core workouts, resistant workouts. We did this mindful meditation workout today, which I'm so glad one of the sisters reframed one of the affirmations for me, because I was like, you show right. Because one of the affirmations was, I don't need to earn my love.
I'll
And
reframe
you
it
like,
too. What did they reframe it to?
well, I don't remember what they reframed it to, but yeah, it was one of the ones that I got from, and I pulled it from a Black women's affirmation page, and I can't remember the name of it. And it didn't land on me like, oh, this is you know, this is anti-affirmation by putting a negative word into
Right.
it. Yeah, and I was like, oh. So I thanked her for explaining that. But yeah, so I'm offering free fitness classes every Tuesdays and Thursdays at 9 Eastern time. Saturdays at 10:30, doing dance fitness. It is sponsored by Black Women's Blueprint, which is a reproductive health organization out of New York. I'm really grateful for their support. Also, I am actively doing a campaign. We just launched it this month. Project Blackbird is an organization that I've been running for about 4 years now. And this latest campaign, Consent Conscious, really looks into how we are creating access points for our pleasure and also setting some delicious boundaries. And we're using kink philosophies and BDSM philosophies to help kind of guide creating containers for our pleasure, to do both. So that is going on. You can go to projectblackbird.org for that. You can visit CandiceLiger.com for the fitness classes. Outside of that, man, I'm out here in these streets chilling, man. You know.
Just doing a thing. Just doing a damn thing.
Yeah. I tried to. Likewise, you out here too. I'm so thankful that you that said this conversation. It always feels so good and so healing to talk to you. It went by so fast. Was that like an hour?
You know how we go. We be like, and you know how I feel. I'm like, hey, I hope y'all following. You'll catch it. If you don't, everybody will. You know.
Yeah, like no bullet points. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know that's right. I hope y'all follow it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So love. Appreciate everybody joining us for this tea. Y'all share this, share. Make sure you follow Candice and all the things she does. Amazing. Love, peace, y'all. Yeah. See you.
Peace.